So, what is mental strength or mental toughness? Basically, if you're mentally strong, you're resilient, right? You can deal with all of life's issues, pressures, challenges, stressors, you name it. You can handle it, right? But it all begins with self awareness. It's really everything begins with self awareness, right? This is why the world tries really hard to get you not to pay attention to yourself, right? Get addicted to alcohol or sugar, watch football, do all these things, game shows, all this distraction stuff, instead of becoming self aware and learning confidence, how to stay on your own 2 feet, without needing support from someone else or something else, right? Mental strength does not mean that you don't go through periods of anxiety, depression, or feelings of self doubt. No, this is all like basic human stuff. You're supposed to feel those things. But you're not meant to like wallow around in the mud in it, right? So what happens when stuff hits the fan? What's your first reaction? Do you think about things like analytically or logically, or do you run on like the first emotion that pops up? Typically, anger, stress, running around in fight or flight mode is not going to be good for your decision making skills. On the contrary, your decision making skills will go right out the window if you do not learn how to get out of the sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic nervous system. This is why I love things like Qigong, right? Because it helps to build your biofield, but it also teaches you to be mentally strong and mentally tough and ready for anything, right? Because that's how we survive, right? So let's take a closer look at some ways that we can practice becoming more mentally strong so that we don't break down into a puddle every time something happens, okay? We want to be ready to handle whatever life throws at us. So, step one, you want to learn to regulate your emotions properly. Regulating your emotions is so important, right? It's an important part of being a human. We're supposed to have emotions and we need them, and it's good to feel them from time to time. However, anything more than like 20 minutes and you're really letting the emotions take over you instead of you controlling them, right? So it's cool to get mad when the car don't start outside and it's cold, right? But it is not cool to stay mad at your car for 5 hours and ruin everyone around you's day, right? Anybody who comes in contact with you. There's not going to be like, oh, well, she's pretty mentally strong, that one is. No, they're going to think you're super weak. If your car gives you that much stress and you let anger take over your whole nervous system for 5 hours, that's weak. That's not strong. So we need to learn to regulate our emotions, okay? We want to feel them, let them, take over for a few minutes, and then release them. Break into some exercise if you need to. Breathing techniques, anything, write stuff down. Whatever you got to do to get the emotions to flow through and out. You don't repress them either, because that will also lead you to becoming mentally weak. Because one day your volcano of emotions are just going to flood all over somebody who's not expecting or nor deserving of them, and you'll look mentally weak, right? So you don't want to repress emotions or ignore them. You want to feel them and let them flow through you so that you can stay in control and you're the one running the show, not your emotions. Step two, we want to change our thinking to positive thinking, okay? So this means no more stinking thinking, okay? Positive thinking can reduce stress, okay? There's been plenty of studies that show this. If you're always negative and negative thinking, then you are going to be attracting in more negative, which is, this is basic law of attraction stuff. If you're a storm cloud, the universe is going to send you more storm cloud stuff because that's the vibration and the frequency that you're putting off, right? If you want to have a positive vibe, a positive frequency, then you're telling the universe to give you positive experiences, which ultimately snowball into more positive experiences, right? Let's take money, for example, okay? I'm telling you, in the times of my life when I've been like super stressed out and worried about money and how am I going to pay bills, blah, 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 this is when I don't have the money to pay bills. I mean, it's just how it works. Instead, when I'm in positive and I go with the flow, money always finds a way in, right? It's in somehow, like if I just let it go and the universe takes over, there's some creative way, right, that money shows up in random ways. An old client will pop up that I wasn't expecting, or anything. But as long as my mind is positive, then I bring in more positive things. Well, the same goes for being mentally strong. You have to be positively thinking, positive, so that you don't attract in negative things. Okay, so it's basic, right? It should be a basic duh. Okay, so change your thoughts to positive thoughts, and if you have to at first, fake it a little bit, right? But eventually, more and more normal and natural for you to think that way, and you'll get mentally strong. Okay. Step three, we want to learn to face our fears head on. Okay, if you're scared to death of spiders, then go jump in a pool of spiders. No, Not exactly. They do teach this in some severe cases of like phobias and stuff, but it doesn't have to be that drastic. Okay, so say you have a fear of being unprepared, right? Then just make up like a little prepared bag, like with band-aids and whatever you want in it, like pinto beans, and keep it in your car, okay? And then the next you want to do is like get out of your comfort zone, right? Comfort zones kill our growth. You've got to learn to get out of your comfort zone. This is why people will stay married to toxic partners forever, like 10 years of their life. It just gets wasted because it gets comfortable living in turmoil, right? And they're afraid they might lose a couple $1,000s or a couple toys or maybe a boat or something in a divorce, right? So let's let all that stuff go, pal. Life's too short to be caught in something because it feels comfortable. And who really cares about a bunch of toys that you have that are just sitting around rusting because you're not happy enough to play with them anyway, okay? What's the point? Live out your life purpose, follow your dreams, and quit worrying about being comfortable. Comfort is not what this, we're not here on earth to be comfortable. That's not what this place is for. If you want to be comfortable, you go live on a cloud because it's not what this is about, okay? You can't grow when you're comfortable. Embrace the unknown and watch yourself grow, right? So step 4, we want to practice self-awareness and self-compassion. Self-awareness is key to becoming mentally strong. So what is self-awareness? Well, it's the way you recognize your own emotions, your own thoughts, feelings, behaviors, strengths, beliefs, weaknesses, and pretty much anything else about yourself that's important, okay? So self-awareness leads to self-acceptance and self-confidence and all those self-positive things, okay? Once we're aware of who we are and we're more equipped to handle anything that may come our way, right? Think about it. If you don't know anything about yourself and you're faced with a random life stressor, you're probably going to react on some kind of an emotion. Instead, if you're self-aware and so let's say that that you're impatient, right? So that you leave the house early because you know you're impatient and you give yourself time for accidents, holdups, in order to prevent an emotional meltdown out of anger from being late. You are aware that you're impatient, so you make life choices to account for that. You leave early. You rearrange your life because you are self-aware, and therefore you prevent unnecessary stress and chaos. This is how you make yourself mentally strong. Okay? Next, we want to develop daily routines, self-care routines. I'm always, preaching self-care, but have a daily routine and a self-care routine. This is a great way to practice being mentally strong because you are in a rhythm. Your brain enjoys being in a rhythm, okay? And your brain likes structure. Your brain likes rhythm. That's why we teach our kids a routine. That's why they need to eat at the same time. They need to, routine and structure helps your kids grow. Well, it's the same with you. If you want to be mentally strong and mentally tough, you need to have a routine. And then the last thing you want to do is become adaptable. Adaptability, okay? You remember the whole Charles Darwin thing with natural selection, right? Well, they survive because they're adaptable. They know how to adapt. If you want to become mentally strong, you need to learn how to adapt to change. Another key aspect of becoming adaptable is to learn problem-solving skills, okay? If you have problem-solving skills and you face unexpected changes head-on, you're going to be able to adapt. And in today's world, you either are going to adapt or you're going to be left behind. I mean, that's just how it is. There's plenty of ways out there to learn how to adapt, and this is just super important if you want to be mentally strong, okay? There's other ways to be mentally strong, right? For one thing, I always recommend like meditation and breath work, exercise, okay? These are like great ways to help your body to regulate your emotions and chill out so that you can learn to be mentally strong and mentally tough and be ready for anything, because right now we need to be ready for anything, okay? Don't forget to check out the link below to join the new Telegram group.